New day, new project, and yeah, something fun I think today because we're starting from scratch with a brand new project. Let me know if you have any issues hearing me. I had to set up a few things over the last couple of days. Cleaned up my office. Everything's nice and fresh. As you can see here, we have a nice new. I have to try and see what a new webcam setup, so you can see what I'm doing on my screen as well. And I figured if I keep forgetting to do my shortcuts, my screencast keys, I can at least show my keyboard. Good morning. So yeah, what you see here is a XP Pen Pro 16. It's the tablet I reviewed almost over a year ago at this point. Really good tablet. I think I'm going to turn it into my default because the other one's too big, and I like the new setup that I've got. And today we're going to start by making an animatic. Yes, second part of the short film. Yes. So the funny thing about this second part is that it won't feature any of the characters from the first part, but it's connected, and eventually they'll come together. So this is going to be like a pure action set piece sort of story. It'll have some dialogue. I haven't recorded any dialogue or anything like that. I will talk about that in the future about what that means, how that works. But today I can at least start on blocking. So I haven't even got any characters designed yet for this, but I can still make an animatic, and I'm going to show you why you can still make an animatic with nothing to work with, as in like you have no models, no environments, no nothing. The idea here is that we block out the story and get an idea of the sort of action and the pacing as early as possible, so I know, one, how to rig my characters going forward, and also what I need, because I don't want to build anything I don't want to build, or anything I don't need to build, that, if that makes sense. So we're going to start off by starting with the first scene. So the first scene is actually going to be the same scene that I did a few months ago with that spaceship animation, but we're going to do it properly today. So starting from the top, we don't even need to worry about changing the cube. I'm just going to go ahead and make a plane to represent the environment that I want this thing to sit in. I'm going to grab the camera and I'm just going to place it where I need it. So, hey, good morning. So starting from scratch, I might turn on, just to give it a bit more interest, some random colors. I'm going to go to view, camera view, and I'm just going to place the camera. I think I might place it this way on along Y. And the second thing in mind here is I need to make sure that I'm working with the aspect ratio that I want. So I want this to actually be a much wider aspect ratio in the camera this time around. That's what I wanted to do with the original, but it didn't work out in the end. So I really want to try and do it this time. So what I'm going to do is make a brand new folder. So let's see. Let's just do it on my computer. I'm going to do... Oh, no worries. Oh, good morning. Thank you for joining. I'm going to reply with a message. Just give me a sec. I have to sign into chat. Okay, hold on. Let me just do that. To authorize that. Cool. All right. I got a question. What render engine you used for the short film? How much time did it take to render the short? I used Eevee, and it took me, and this is with a fresh re-render, it took me a week. And it didn't take me a week every day, like 9 to 5 every day. It took me a week, like an hour or two every night to re-render it. So yeah, not long. Maybe about 6 hours all up. And even then, not that much. Very quick render. That's why I designed it that way. So I'm going to do a new folder, black curtain. And the name of this one is going to be called Stock Trade. So that's the name of the episode. So you're seeing it right now. This is the first thing. I'm going to type in a new folder and call this pre-production. And I'm on baby watch today, by the way. So if I end up having to cut this short, it's because the baby has woken up and I have to take care of it. All right. So just keep that in mind. If I have to cut it short, I'm sorry, but I might jump on later again. Who knows? Pre-production, and I'm going to go with animatic. And inside there, let's go ahead and call this scene. I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. SC01 shot 01. And I'm going to call this, and I'm going to give it a label. Try to be as succinct as possible. I'm going to go ahead and say scene 01 shot 01, and it's called ship. Oh no, it's not that. It's just going to be the wide open range. So it's actually going to be establishing shot. There we go. And save file. All right, cool. So, what I want to do now is establish the aspect ratio that I want for the animation. So I just want to look up what anamorphic ratio is. Actually, they have presets in Blender. So if you go to the camera settings and you go to, if you go to the render settings and go to the, the print settings here, output, and you go to presets, you'll see that we have some presets for aspect ratio. Now, if I don't have a proper one, ultra wide, let's see. Oh, that looks pretty wide. I don't know if I want to go. This is 3D planning instead of, yes, it's 3D planning instead of sketching. So if you don't feel like sketching, this is the way to go about it. Ultra wide. That's a bit too, let's see. Oh, that looks pretty cool. No, I don't want to do that because that's actually just 2:1. I'm going to try ultra wide. All right. No worries, Chris Jones. I'm glad you got most out of it. If I did it again, I'd make some few adjustments to the tutorial because I've been teaching it a bit more lately. So in real life, so I've thought of some more sort of optimizations to make it a bit better, but I don't have time to record that. And the videos did pretty horrible, so unlikely that I'm going to redo any videos for Maya anytime soon. Yeah, and in the viewport display, I want to make sure this is black because this will make sure that this is going to be nice and clear as to what I'm looking at in the camera. Now you can see here, it's looking pretty cool. I'm just going to get a better idea of the... I don't know about 60 FPS. It ain't going to be 60 FPS. That's a big no-no, I guess I'd say. Technically, a big no-no in terms of film. To do 60 FPS, we're not making a game. 24 FPS or 25 FPS is still the safe bet. So let's go ahead and just double check to see what we have for film aspect ratios. I still want to do a wide one. 70mm, 2.6. I want to do, yeah, maybe 2.6, 2.76 to 1. Let's go 70mm. Aspect ratio, pixels. Let's have a look. Actually, that's probably too much. I'm not doing an IMAX film. Okay. Sorry, I'm just having a look. CinemaScope 2.59 to 1. CinemaScope. Yeah, CinemaScope would be all right. CinemaScope aspect ratio. Pixels. Let's have a look. Good morning. Let's have a look. Um, where are we? Where are we? Oh, come on. I don't want to cheat. I don't want to pay for a cheat sheet. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Let's just see. I'd rather get this right now than worry about it later. Okay, scope. There we go. 4.0, and I am going to try and do it at 4K this time round because I felt like the last film came out a little bit I don't know, a little bit pixely. There we go. That looks a bit better. That looks a bit more usable. Okay, that's a 2.39 aspect ratio. I could try and do this instead, a flat 1.85. It looks more closer to widescreen though. Yeah, it's more like widescreen. So I'm gonna go with they got 1.9 aspect ratio as well, which is this. And again, that's looking more like you know, pretty much close to widescreen. So I'm gonna go with a wider aspect. I really want to try and give it a sort of feel to it. That looks cool. Yeah, there's so many different kinds of aspect ratios that it's worth just making sure it's all good. So I think that will do well. All right, cool. So the second thing I want to do is just play with the initial focal length, and I might go with a 70mm to give it a bit of a tighter feel. And I know it's weird that I'm going to zoom back out, but it's just to give an idea of feeling. Let's just go with that. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. I will. That's a good idea as a preset. So that was, if I control shift T, 2.35. That is actually a very smart idea to do that. So scope. Let's just go ahead and call that A. And I'm going to go with 24 FPS again. New preset. I'm going to call that scope 2.39 4K. And I'm going to go 4K 24 FPS. There we go. Riveting stuff, but it's always worth doing this stuff. All right, cool. So now that's set. Thank you for the suggestion. Very smart suggestion, actually. We are ready to go. So I'm going to set up the scene first. Now the scene is still going to be pretty large, but we're going to still fake it. So notice how if I turn on, I think there's a way to turn on in the visuals, like just what the camera can see. So I want to show sort of what the limits are on the clipping mask. So this is the clipping range. And also, I think I can show in the camera the sort of range, the sort of scope. I've done it before, unless that's just in Maya. I always forget where it would be. Statistics, origins, face orientation. Don't have to worry about that. It would be in here somewhere. Sensor, name. Yeah, visibility. I think it's in there somewhere, but I can't remember. Camera, safe areas. So I will have safe areas as well, just to see what those areas would be like in terms of like where, if it's going to be clipped. And in the clipping area, safe areas over here, under composition guides, custom properties, no, camera, save areas. I'm gonna go 0.2 and 0.2 for that, and then 0.1 and 0.1. And this will give us a sort of idea of where I can safely put the action in the scene. And then I think I even set that as a friggin', oh yeah, it's pretty cool. We got actual, that's what I was probably looking for, the sensor size for all this sort of stuff. Anyway, cool. I think we're good. All right. And we can also add a compositional thirds thing here. So we got, this should bring up our composition guides so we can see how it's all coming together. Now, I think we should be good. All right, sweet. So let's save that. And now we're going to go ahead and start to sort of animate or put together where I want the buildings to be. So I'm going to use this cube. Now notice this cube is still only 2 meters tall. So we're actually going to fake, at least for this initial setup, we're going to fake the scale of the scene. All right, so it's not going to be true to scale, but I'm going to bring that back. Now the reason I'm not too fussed about true to size here is because I don't really need to, I'm not planning on putting many things in this scene other than just what we see here. So I have an idea. This is very similar to that rocket scene. So what I'm going to do is put a building there. I'm going to have a landing pad in the middle and then nothing there for now. So it's sort of going to be sort of empty space. All right. All right, so let's just quickly edit this to give it the shape that I want. And I want the building to sort of be like a little base, I guess you can say, like that. Cool. And I'm going to rotate that a little bit just so I can get a better sort of feel of the scale. I might bring that in a little bit here and place it right on that middle third, that left third there. And inside here will be something there. And there's nothing going to be there at the moment, but we will make do. Now, it's always good, in my opinion, to have 2 scenes ready to roll. So one screen showing your active area and another just giving you the freedom to just sort of manipulate as you see fit. Now, you see here, now, if I was to render this out and add a bunch of grass or like particles or anything that like requires a lot of rendering time or extra calculation, I don't even want to deal with all this unnecessary space to be like sort of calculating. So as you can see here, the camera is this, right? The field of view is really quite narrow, right? We don't want to build anything that we don't want to include anything that we don't need. All right. So what I'm going to do is grab this area here and scale that down until we start to see some clipping. And you can see here that the camera only needs to see what it needs to see. So now I've pretty much cut out a third of the environment in terms of calculation that I don't need to actually include into the render anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and expand that horizon line a little bit as well. So basically that opens up the fact that I can actually include a little bit more horizon in the distance before I sort of cut off the background. So that's going to be my scene for this particular setup. Anything else? I don't need. Okay. Unless, of course, I plan on having the camera swing wildly left and right. In which case I would have a bit more environment, but I'm not going to have the camera swing widely left and right here. So I'm only setting up for the scene at hand. Okay, cool. So that's my first scene. The first scene is going to literally just be this. If I just sort of calculate, it's going to be something like, yeah, 90 frames. Let's go with that. All right, save that. So I can call this, I can even name this camera. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's nicely labeled and call this, the same name as this one. It's going to be scene, I'll just call it camera one or shot one for this particular sequence. All right. So there we go. Ready to roll. And now what I will do, I'm just going to add a little bit of fake camera shake. So I'm just going to turn on some keyframes there and go to my graph editor. And I'm going to add some modifiers. So in the graph editor, I'm going to add some camera shake. So I'm just going to go to modifiers, noise, and you can see now it's going to be shaking crazily. Yeah, modeling for the camera, essentially. Yeah, even the scene. So we've got some camera shake there. I'm going to change that so the scale is a little bit more, but the strength, the scale is going to be, yeah, a lot more. Like something like that. Let's see how that feels. You can see that's a little bit too strong. The strength I'm going to bring right down. So it's going to be pretty subtle. Expand that out. Bring the strength up just a little bit. All right, cool. I'm going to copy that and do that in the Y location as well. Or the Z. Let's see what the Z is in relation to its local orientation. So under local, Z is going that way. So I don't need to have any camera shake going backwards and forwards, but I do have to have some up and down. All right, so only in the Y. Let's just double check to see if its gimbal is in the right direction as well. So yeah, you can see here when I switch it to gimbal, which is the true rotation of the camera, Y is going forward and Z is up. So in this case, Z needs to have some camera shake, not Y. So I'm going to go to my Z location and paste in the same thing. But this time I'm going to just offset that a little bit to give it a little bit of randomness. And now we have some nice camera shake. Now I could add a little bit in the rotation as well, but that has to be very subtle. All right, very subtle. Now the strength can be a little bit less. The scale can be maybe a little bit less so. And you can see we have a little bit going on there. And even then, that's still too strong. Let's go a little bit like really subtle. And now you can see it there happening in the camera shake. All right, so there's my first scene. Now I could add a little bit of zoom in. So now inside the focal length, I'm going to keyframe that. And I'm going to keyframe just maybe 75 millimeter or 80 millimeter inwards, like so. Insert keyframe. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure, this is one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of animators do when they're animating cameras, depending on the circumstances, especially if it's a single shot and it's a constant zoom in, is that they forget to look at the actual animation of the focal length or something like this, and they keep the easing on. I want this camera to be a constant zoom in without any slowing down. Will this be full follow along or are you dropping a course? This is just live streams. All right, this is not going to be a tutorial series. So this is just my process of making films. And I'm just going to do it as I go along because every film is different. There's no gonna, but I will do like a sort of overview video about what you need to plan for. So here we go, first one. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to linear on the keyboard. All right, set that to linear. And now that zoom in would be nice and constant. All right. And now you can see that that little rocking looks a little bit too much. That little sway left to right. So on the X location, I'm just going to bring down. Let's just click on this. All right, on the X location, I'm going to bring down the strength. So it's much more subtle. And that looks a lot better. Good evening. Yeah, exactly. For easing, holding pose is good. Like, easing is good for holding poses, not good for just a single camera truck in that's constant. Now, I may even flip this around. If, like, the zoom in, I might actually flip the zoom in and out, like actually reverse it, depending on whether or not that feels good later on when I combine the animatic together. All right. So now, actually, I forgot to add a few things. Over here, there's going to be a few crates in the middle. So what I'm going to do is select my cursor over here, or actually just pin the cursor there. All right. And then I add a cube. And that cube is going to be a crate. All right. That crate looks to be about the right height. And, you know, when you think about a crate, 2 meters is actually pretty close, actually. And it's sort of, it's going to be like a shipping crate. All right. So what I'm going to do is just rotate that. Now, I'm not too concerned about the details in terms of like pivot points just yet. But if I wanted to, I can just snap the origin to the geometry if I wanted to. All right. So there we go. Save that there. I'm going to move this crate a little bit here. I might actually make this a little bit larger. Now, this is where having it snap to origin would actually help. So what I'm going to do is select the bottom here, 3D cursor, and then right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and just raise that up a little bit, and then scale that up a bit more. And now that feels a lot better. That scale feels about right. And I might make this a little bit taller. That looks better. Cool. I like that. That looks better. Cool. Sweet. So the next part is going to be a little bit interesting because we're going to add some characters. So I'm going to save this now as a part 2. Save as. And, ooh, do I have it plugged in? I don't. So I'm going to plug in my hard drive because it has a script in there. I need to look at my script. So it's always good to have a script on hand to actually work with. So before I save that as a new shot, save that first. I'm going to open up my backup. So let's see, back curtain, episode 2, screenplay. Did I save it as a, no I didn't. I didn't save it as a bloody, oh no, I got it as an FBX file, so I should have it as an exported PDF. Interesting. Okay. It might be on my laptop. So here's another thing that I want to show you then. Good evening, by the way. Is screenwriting software. So screenwriting software, let's check it out. So what I use for free is an app called Kit Scenarist. Now, hopefully, no, it is available for Mac. It's available for Mac, PC, and iPad, which is pretty cool. So it's a really good app. So I'm going to download the latest version. And it's available on all apps, really, which is really cool. But it's a really great screenwriting software. No condolences for using Mac on Blender. Blender with Mac. I actually made the choice to change over to from PC to Mac. For a number of reasons. It is a little bit crashier, but it does have its advantages. Like, this room is dead quiet right now. Yeah, it's a really good app. It's really good, and it actually supports the right sort of, it actually supports a lot of the standard formats as well. So I'm going to let that download in the background. In any case, I can go ahead and also tell you what the plan is. So rather than using characters that I've already made for now, I'm going to jump over to Mixamo. And I'm just going to download a standard model. And that will be my stand-ins at the moment for animation. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Just give me a moment. All right, so what I want to do is once it loads up, and if it doesn't load properly inside of Firefox, I'll use Safari. What's this film project about? It's basically a sequel to my last short film. So it's the second episode of the last short. This is like a 3D storyboard, yes, but it's going to be animated. So it's more of an animatic than a storyboard. So characters, I'm going to jump over to characters. And I'm just going to use a standard Mixamo character, all right? Oops. Standard Mixamo character. Ah, fuck it. So it's going to be this one, yes. Actually, I'll need the male version of this little robot. So I'm going to use something like this, but I'm going to use the male version because they are going to be male characters. If I can find it. There it is. Sweet. All right. So I'm going to download this guy with its skeleton already set up, which is awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and straight up download that and go over to, I'm going to keep it in T-pose. Keep the FBX, download that. How long have I been using Blender 3D animation in general? I've been doing 3D animation for the most part since 2016. 2015, like I studied at uni from 2011 to 2013. So I learned a lot of my 3D stuff there. And then I did some full-time work in the 2D space for a while. And then in 2016, I really kind of went back into 3D proper. Cool documents. So where's my black curtain? Stock trade. Sweet. So what I'm going to do is put a new folder here. Oops, cancel that. New folder. And I'm going to go with rigs. And I'm going to download, push save. All right. I'm also going to download the female version as well, because there will be some female characters as sort of background characters as well. So I may want to use them as well. So I'm going to download this one. All right, Xbot, Ybot, good. All right, cool. Okay, so they're ready to roll. The other one's still downloading. The scenarios are still downloading as well. That's fine. But in the meantime, I can make a new scene. I'm going to save as. Actually, I don't have to worry about the new scene right now. Just save that, new scene, new general scene. And I'm going to delete the cube and import the character rig. So I'm going to start with the Xbot. I'll worry about the Ybot later, but that will be fine. All right, cool. So got that one there. There's our Ybot. Let's import that. Under armature, I'm going to go ignore leaf bones. And the scale should be fine as is. Let's just have a look. Yep, which it is. Fantastic. On the armature, you can see the armature here. There it is there. Under, actually the scale is huge. It's actually quite large. If I make a cube, oh no, that's fine. It's fine. So if I go to the bones here and go to my display, I want to go to visibility in front. You can see the rigs there. Good morning. And under I have the Mixamo add-on. There it is there. Create control rig. So you can actually get the Mixamo add-on by just typing it into Google. Just type in Mixamo Blender add-on. And it's part of the Substance 3D collection for some reason. But if you click on that, and you go there, once it opens up, good morning. You can get the add-on for free, and it creates an auto rig based on the Mixamo setup. Now, the Mixamo rig isn't perfect by all means, but it's great for this sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is click on this, create control rig. I'm going to go with FK and IK, and I will not apply the animation. And it's a one-click solution. All right, one click. That's it. Okay. That's the great thing about these add-ons, is that this is like the easiest auto rigger in Blender, no question, because the auto rigger, I mean, using Mixamo will automatically detect where the bones will go, obviously, and then in Blender you just got to auto rig it, and it's got control schemes, everything like that, and it's great for these sort of animatic situations. So now that that's done, I'm going to save that as in my rig section, mail rig. I do play games when I have the chance. Currently, I just finished Jedi Survivor, which was pretty good. Love-hate relationship with that game, but I did enjoy it. I love the environments of that game. It's awesome. And I just started trying to play Starfield, which is it's a big game, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get through it. Do I use scripting with Python in Blender a lot, or does it not apply for? No, I don't use scripting all that much, but I want to get more into it. I've always said I wanted to get more into it, but I've never had the chance to learn. What makes it better than Rigify? It doesn't make it better. Okay, this is by no means a better auto rigger than Rigify. It's just a different rigger. Now, the reason why it may be better for this scenario is that with Rigify, I would have to go in. Firstly, I'd have to have a mesh ready to roll, and then I'd have to actually manually place where I want the joints to go, or where the bones need to go, before I auto rig, and that could take up to 20 minutes, 30 minutes just to get it all lined up. All right, and then I got to skin it, which is another thing. All right, whereas here with the Mixamo setup, I can just either upload my own mesh to Mixamo, let it automatically detect where the bones will go. It will auto weight it. I'll bring it back into Blender. I can do some slight refinements and then slap on the auto rigger here, and then have a control scheme within about 10-15 minutes. So yeah, that's where this advantage comes from. Do I play on console or do I have a PC for games? Now, yeah, I mostly play on console at the moment, PS5, but I'm using my wife's gaming PC to play Starfield because, yeah, Xbox, exclusive. Yeah, that's what I do at the moment. All right, so this is ready to roll. So I can now jump back into my establishing shot. And what I'm going to do now is open up that downloaded app, Scenarist. Did I? Idiot! I downloaded the XC file. My bad. Let's download that again. Kit Scenarist again. Download. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. Download the latest version, please. All right. Doesn't matter. In any case, we can set up the scene anyway, because I kind of know what I need to do. So what I'm going to do is save this as a new scene. And I'll rename it if I have to. And it's going to be scene 01, shot 1. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be scene 02, shot 2. Have I considered making a game using a game engine to help with producing film projects? I have thought about using Unreal, but it comes with its own disadvantages. All right. Namely to do with the limitations of exporting rigs and animation. I would like to have more freedom, and doing it in a dedicated PC A dedicated 3D app will do that better. All right, so scene 02, shot 01, establishing shot. And also, I'm not doing a lot of realism. Keep that in mind. So Eevee does the job for me for that as well. Scene 02, shot 01, and this will be, let's go with sitting on crate. Waiting. So that's the name of the shot. I'm going to push scene 02, shot 01. The reason I'm doing scenes is that I may end up breaking up the scene into multiple shots. All right. And I might go with a different naming convention afterwards as well. I wouldn't say that. OpenUSD is still early days, and there's still a lot of compatibility issues. All right, cool. Yeah, exporting to Unreal needs its own pipeline, especially that. And also reconstructing materials from Blender to Unreal sucks. Absolutely sucks. Even with the OpenUSD, it's not going to be consistent. All right, cool. So what I got here is this scene here. Now I will remanipulate this scene to be more centered now. So these crates and stuff are going to come a lot closer. Ooh, don't want to be local. I'm going to go ahead and set it to global, bring them a lot closer to my scene. All right. This camera will come up a lot closer now. And it's going to be a wider frame. So I'm going to go ahead and make that maybe 35 millimeter. So it's a bit wider. There we go. And the scale of all this stuff will change as well. So I'm actually going to delete that ground plane, make a new ground plane. And now my scene is different. Because now the camera will probably start to sit around this area. So, all right, cool. I'm going to bring in my character now. So let's go ahead and import or append my character. I'm not going to bother doing any linking today because the characters, the male rig is not going to change. So I don't need to worry about any linking. How do I get those grid lines on the camera? I'll show you. Just give me 1 second. Collection. There we go. All right, there's my character. As you can see here, I still want to keep the character in this scale. So this is actually a true to scale character. If you look at the actual mesh, if I were to apply the mesh scale, you will see that the height of the character is close to 2 meters, which is, I would say, a bit taller than the average, but it's good enough for what I need. And I can still manipulate that. So what I want to do is make the crate and the scene accommodate that character now. So what I'm going to do is go to my settings here. I'm going to cursor to selected, origin to 3D cursor. And now I'm going to scale this crate up to be more like the scale of a real crate. All right, and as I can see already, this is what the great thing about Transformers. It won't have Transformers, but it will have spaceships. The crate's looking a bit thin in that direction, just based on my needs for the shot. So what I'm going to do is grab this crate, go to gimbal, normal, and I'm going to go ahead and scale this way and this way, like so. And I might make this a bit taller to suit what I need. Now, just keep in mind, none of this is set in stone, all right? This is the great thing about the animatic phase, is that none of this is... Why does this guy have a very long profile name? Don't know. You have to ask. All right, cool. So there we go. We got that there. And I want to have this guy sitting, because I remember the script. I wrote it, after all, on the top of the crate. Like so. It's going to be sitting on top of the crate on a deck chair. All right. So sitting just around there. The camera, I'm going to go ahead and change the view. So now it's going to be relatively close up. Oops, I don't know why it's being picky, but there we go. Save that for now. Now to answer your question about the grid lines, that's all done in the camera settings under its camera properties. So under the camera, if you go to viewport display, you can turn on name, turn on the transparency of the border, composition guides, turn on the thirds, and then I have also safe areas. So basically these edges here are my action safe areas. So I want to try and contain the action within at least this area here in case it gets clipped. All right, cool. So my app has been downloaded properly this time. I'm gonna download this, put that in there. Okay, app installed. This is why I'm using the Mac, guys, as well, by the way. So now that can work like so. Open that up, and I can import my screenplay. All right, let that open up. All right, so I want English, and I want dark theme. Yes. No. Oh, yes, I do want to have that, and I want to have that. Yes, and script, and I'm gonna have final draft as my setup. Okay. Yes, finish that. Cool. So we're on our way. All right, so now I can import my screenplay. So I'm gonna go to my Black Curtain episode 2 folder on my backup, screenplay, and just copy the pathway. All right, open project, menu, import, create new project, and it's going to be Black Curtain, part 2, and it's going to be called trading stock trade. All right, cool, great. Wow, and I'm just going to go ahead and now import my screenplay. So let's go ahead, go to script, go to my backup, and go to Black Curtain, episode 2, screenplay. There we go. Import. Let's have a look at my script. There we are. So you can see here, I have it written down. Underneath the canopy of an old outpost building, a man sits upon a large unmarked crate. He checks his watch, takes a drag from a cigarette through an intake valve on his filtration mask, looks out to the horizon, and then repeats the cycle over again. His leg fidgets nervously. Sorry, even with that's a typo. So even with the filtered mask covering his face, the air is hot and dry. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm not on a laptop. I'm on a Mac Studio at the moment. If you can look at my camera, you can see Mac Studio is just over there somewhere, hiding away. Yeah. So let's get that fixed up again. Bye bye, camera. Is it gonna stay put? There we go. That will do. All right, cool. Basically, for a number of reasons, I still would love to have a PC. Okay, I'd still love to have a PC with a proper graphics card. But namely, the biggest two things were, well, three things. One, transferring files is a lot easier with the Mac. So if I'm going to do photogrammetry, for instance, which I'm going to talk about in the future in more detail, transferring files from my phone or from the camera is much better. 2, there's actually a bunch of reasons. 2, the sound in the Mac, sound support and video support is much better. So video formats play better, especially ProRes plays better. Better color for another reason. So for filmmaking, it's really good. The other thing for the Mac is that it's quiet and cold. All right, so my room is pretty small. My studio space is pretty small. It's basically a home office. And when I use my PC, especially in summer, it would go up to about 10, 15 degrees hotter in this room. And because I live in Australia, that's not good. All right, not great. And very not good when you're in a house that is already 35 degrees. Okay, so the Mac just doesn't get hot at all. The third thing is just it's quiet. It's so quiet. Like I was rendering out shots for months for a job that I recently finished, and it would not make a sound, and it would stay cold the entire time through. It's just really, it's more to do with like just quality of life, honestly. Now there are things about the Mac that just piss me right off. All right, but those are the main reasons why I did it. And the fact that it's like small, the footprint is so small on my on my desktop, like I can have it on my desk and it not really take up any space is also, you have no idea how good that feels until you have it. All right, cool. So yeah, those are the kind of main reasons. I have a bunch of other reasons as well, but yeah. So what I'm going to do is just pose this guy up for now. Get him into a sort of average sort of pose. I'm going to turn on individual origins. Now, mind you, again, I am on baby watch. So if the baby wakes up in the next 20 minutes, 5-10 minutes, Apple CPU is really good. I will say that I wish the GPU would actually work well in Blender, but it doesn't. It runs like shit, which sucks because it is quite powerful. But when it's compiling shaders, it takes ages with the GPU. But with the CPU, it's very quick. Yeah, the unified memory it's both a blessing and a curse again, by the way. So I'm gonna have him on there, and I'm gonna put another cube. Oh, why did he move? Okay, that's why. I'm gonna put another cube there to just represent the seat. Like that. Now it's funny because when you look at this, when you look at like the measurement of a chair, it's the height of it, the seated height of a chair is usually around 70 centimeters, and that kind of works out just by chance here. So there we go. All right, so character's sitting down. Now obviously the pose isn't perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, and you'll see that I'm going to actually be doing multiple shots in the same. Any tips for keeping good motivation? Basically, don't get pissed off when things go wrong, and treat the process as the fun part rather than the like. I always find that the puzzle solving side of things when it comes to 3D is the enjoyable part. Like learning, if you learn to enjoy learning, I guess that makes sense, then your motivation will just stick around forever, I reckon. If you enjoy learning as a thing, treat it like I treat almost. Sometimes I feel like I am actually playing a game when I'm animating, because I treat it as sort of like enjoyable. I find enjoyment in the process rather than just like the outcome. That's the big thing. Like for me, like the process should be as fun as the outcome. Usually the outcome is never feels as good as you think it will be. That's a big thing to learn, I reckon. Like that process is just, yeah, sometimes, yeah, it doesn't feel as good as you may think. Like in terms of the outcome, the finished product might not be like 100% to your liking, but if you enjoyed the process of making what you did, then you'll always find motivation to make something new because you want to make something better. All right. That's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. All right, cool. So I want to get pretty close here. So looking at my screenplay, anything artists do is just a Sisyphus, Sisyphus. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So a man sits upon a large unmarked crate. He checks his watch. So I'm gonna actually start with this being really close up. So I'm actually gonna increase the zoom on this to be, again, maybe like 80, 80, 80, like that. That's how I want it to be. Really close, like that. And it says here, man sits upon a long. He checks his watch, takes a drag from the cigarette. So I'm actually gonna start with the cigarette drag first, and then checking the watch. So I'm going to bring the hand up. He's going to be, let's go with a right-handed character, because the watch will be on the left. Take that into account, okay? So he may, yeah, left and right. So let's get that in place. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pose that finger out. Now I've got individual origins turned on, and it's set to local. So I should be able to just rotate on Z in this case and just rotate all the pieces like so. Looks like they're different depending on which. No, there we go. Sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and pose out that finger. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Keep that in mind. It does not have to be perfect. Now, depending on how you want to... yeah, of course you do. You always hate your last project because you want to do better. Yeah. Even Black Curtain, I know there's things I can improve upon. But I'm actually quite proud of the end result of that. But I really want to up my animation in this case. So when I do... How do I want to have the character hold a cigarette? It doesn't matter. Let's not worry about the details right now. This is one of the biggest things when it comes to animatics, is getting too caught up in those little details. We are not at that stage yet, okay? We are not at that stage yet. Very early days, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and scale that right down. Sweet. And let's just get that like so. Perfect. All right. So that's where we're at the moment. Kelly Johnson, will this be a motion comic, Dicko? No, it won't be a motion comic. But good question. I would like to do some motion comics for Black Curtain to sort of pad out the world building. So through Instagram and through Twitter, if I ever get set up a TikTok, for instance, I might actually start to do that. I need to find some voice artists first before I can do it. But yes, it's on the cards. Yes, just keep an eye out. All right, so we got that. All right, sweet. There we go. I might pull the camera back just a tad to include some more of the hand. There we go. And on the camera itself, so I have two cameras here. I'm going to delete this other camera. I will bring up another camera later. I'm going to keyframe that. Why isn't that not working? Keyframe. There we go. Now I'm going to add a marker. No worries, Kelly Johnson. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'm going to add a marker. Now this marker will allow me to snap between cameras. Okay. So basically, if I go ahead and go to bind camera to marker, if I make another shot, which I'm going to do in a second, it will snap to the next camera. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is just quickly animate this hand coming up into place. So I'm just going to go ahead and just bring that there. I'm going to bring this down like so. I might turn on auto keyframing at this point, like so. All right, there we go. Takes a drag, like that. Maybe he will lean back a little bit. Now the animation, of course, is going to look like trash. It's the whole point Takes a little drag. Like so. And then holds it for a bit. And then breathes out. Like that. And then go up, drag, breathe out. All right, cool. All right. And then that hand. Oh, okay, fair enough. Sorry if I haven't seen the multi-stream come up much on the Twitch side of things. Wasn't loading properly. I'll have to probably bring up the Twitch chat manually next time. So we got that going on. And then what I want him to do, I'm going to have him sort of go a bit further. 100 frames. Cool. Here. Keyframe. Everything there. And then just sort of have him lean forward a little bit. And look at his watch. Hand comes down. Oh, right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, now I get the myth. Yeah, now I know what you mean. All right, cool. All right, so there we go. There's the first shot. All right, sweet. So here, my next shot, I'm going to make a brand new camera. I might actually I'm going to duplicate this camera, but I'm going to go ahead and actually, yeah, I'll just duplicate that camera. All right. And this camera, I'm going to rotate this now. Now notice that the camera, I can't see through it just yet. All right. If I want to do that, I'd have to go to object, view, cameras, set object to camera. That's usually how you do it, right? Rather than doing that, because I want to be able to snap between the cameras, I'm going to click on this frame, click on this camera, and go to marker, and go bind camera to marker. And that automatically will switch the camera from one to the other. All right. Cool. So I have an idea now. I'm gonna actually move these entire keyframes forward. Okay. Because now I've got an idea of what I need to do with this character. I'm gonna move this whole set forward 40 frames. I'm gonna move these forward 40 frames. All right. So now that's gonna be like that. And now we got that going on there. All right, so this shot here, I'm gonna add a new shot. I'm gonna duplicate this camera again. I'm gonna save this, by the way. Duplicate. I'm gonna move this down like so to his feet. And this is the nice thing about doing it with 3D, is that if you draw an image, you'd have to go back and rearrange everything, which sucks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a new bind camera to marker. That looks cool. Yeah, that looks cool. All right, so something like this. Yeah, I know, right? So this animation style, pose is a kind of just hybrid pose, straightforward style. At the moment, it's neither of that. It's just posing. I'm just posing for the animatic. There's not going to be any fancy animation here. It's literally just posing for the shot and getting the timing right. So 1 foot forward, maybe. I might bring that way. I'll bring this one forward like, oops, wrong controller. I'll bring this one forward like that. And maybe sit that like that. There we go. And rotate that a little bit. Actually, I didn't mind the look of that before. That looks fine. it just looks a bit awkward in the shot because of this. So what I'm going to do here is, again, let's just keyframe everything there, and you'll see that the feet are going to just sort of slide. So I'm just going to delete the keyframe on that foot. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm storyboarding right now. So one goes up, and then I got that. Storyboarding means I'm just planning the shots. All right, so it's intentional. So rather than me working with completed rigs and completed characters and all that sort of stuff, this allows me to get an idea of the timing and the framing and where I want to place the cameras without having to worry about drawing. I don't have to worry about rigs. I don't have to worry about setting up the style of the animation. I can just animate what I need for now to get an idea of the sense of timing. And if I have voice acting, I can actually do some voice acting, like scratch tracks. I can record myself doing the dialogue to get a sense of the timing. And then once I'm ready to do the sort of production side of things, I can send that off to a voice artist. They can record the voices while I set up the creation of all the proper rigs, the proper animation characters, and all the environments, and start to animate the scenes, and then bring it all together later on. But this is all about just setting up that initial setup. Okay, so here I want the foot to be like sort of fidgeting. So what I'm going to do is bring up the foot. Oops, this is a bit different. So like that. I'm just going to have the foot fidgeting like that. All right. No, I'm going to redo it all. So my plans, I have a few plans, and I'll probably make a few videos about them. The plan is either to do using AI motion capture. So basically record myself acting out the scenes and then refining the animation, or using a mocap suit if I can borrow one. I don't know if I can, but we'll see. Otherwise, it's all going to be straight animation with reference. All right, cool. So starting up with that, let's bring up the foot one, and then just back to the other keyframe. So it's not going to be fancy animation. It's just going to be like, boop, like so. And I can probably just, I'm actually going to cyclic this. So to cycle the animation, just go Shift E, make cyclic. And that's going to be him just twitching the entire way through. Now, the nice thing about doing this is that I can actually just manipulate this to be faster. That's a bit too fast. And a bit too high. And then I can just go ahead and just, there we go. A little bit of twitching. All right. All right. There we go. And then I can have them sort of, when it goes to this shot, I'm going to have start off with, I'm going to keep the frame there for now. Bring that forward. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this down like so. All right. Yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm not sure if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, then I'm not going to really make a video about it, but it all depends. All right, so bring that up. Like so. Checks his watch. There we go. That looks pretty horrible animation, but you know, it does the job. All right, let's fix up that elbow because that's really pissing me off. So, but even as an animator, you kind of, even when you're doing animatics, you kind of like, things could look a little bit cleaner just to get the posing right. But there we go. There we go. So there's my first shot. 1, 2. And now I have a nice sense of like the framing. Do I have a Discord server? Yes, I do. It's available through my Patreon. Currently, there's no public channel. It's just private. But you can join for $3 a month. if you want. But yeah, even if you just want to support the channel, honestly, feel free to sign up. Also, good question about that regarding that is YouTube memberships are now open as well. I keep forgetting to spruik my own shit. YouTube memberships are open as well. So if you want to sign up, you get the same sort of thing. You get Discord privileges, you'll get exclusive videos, you'll get early access to videos as well. So I'll be producing a video this afternoon about something. I will publish it a little bit earlier, and then it will sort of be available for about a week earlier, maybe a few days before it goes live. So I'm going to start doing sort of early access as well. And then there's also exclusive content as well. So if you look at the previous video that I've posted last week about the cat lady, you'll see that there's an exclusive video on just me texturing it. No commentary, but there's like a sort of a 1 hour, 2 hour video of just me texturing the character. And that's only available through either Patreon or through the YouTube exclusive membership stuff. But yeah, here we go. We got the shot ready to roll. So that's all I need really for now to continue on to the next scene. Now I can actually either change some of the shots now. So what I want to do is have this repeat a few times. So I'm not sure if I'm going to just change the framing a little bit or to speed up the framing, like cut the framing a bit more, because I want him to be looking around now. So actually, let's go ahead and copy this. Now, there's going to be one more shot here that I want to have do, is have him look around. All right. So, yeah, let's see. Looks around, looks at his watch. There we go. And then I'm going to have him sort of, yeah, I'm going to change the camera angle. I'm going to add one more camera. And it's going to be sort of from top down. And him looking around. Where the hell is this person that I'm waiting for? So I'm going to add a new camera. I'm going to add that to a marker. Bind to marker. Camera the view. And just going to place that like so. And this one's going to be a very wide shot. I want this to be a wide shot. So it's going to be like a 25 millimeter. So I want to get that really skewed effect going on there. And I'll keep that camera real low. Is it possible to create a character in iClone 8 with genitals rigged and make some? Of course it is. If you really want to, you can. Go for it. There's always a possibility. Yeah, this dude's asking the right questions. And yes, you can. I haven't tried it, but it's almost guaranteed. Of course you could. All right. You can even add physics if you wanted to. To certain parts. So yeah, I'm gonna bring this up like so. I'm gonna bring this around like this, and then turn that around like that. I might do a Dutch angle. Why not? Let's do a Dutch angle. A Dutch angle is this, where you kind of tilt it a little bit. There we go. Now notice that none of those little safe areas and stuff have been turned on in the viewport. They're not gone. They're just not visible when you have those sort of things. And also the annoying thing about these cameras is that they don't save the presets, unfortunately. Not just softbody, like that's the thing, right? You got simulation nodes now. You can do all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to talk about what, but you can. All right, so focal length I'm going to keep at, let's go even wider. Let's go 18 millimeter. Fuck it. Yeah. All right, sweet. And I'm actually going to bring this leg forward, even just for this shot. So it's basically going to fake it. So there's that one there. There we go there. And then just before the next frame, I'm going to bring this leg forward so it just sits nicely in the frame like so. I'm going to do the same thing here. Now this is the fun thing about filmmaking, is that you can sort of frame for the shot, and as long as it's relatively consistent, the audience won't really tell the difference. Yeah, for sure it is. Thanks. I'm guessing someone from the chat may have signed up on Patreon, so appreciate it if you guys did. So the cool thing about the loop. Oh, okay, I did something wrong there. I have to. Oh no, that's fine. The loop will still work. There we go. So let's turn off all those things. It is sliding. Okay, so it is sliding. I'm going to put that keyframe here. There we go. Keyframe. Camera watch. And then, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's a cool shot. I don't think I'll have to repeat the shot, actually. I might. Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is sort of like one. Yep, that's cool. Look at the watch. Looks around. Now, what I'm going to do is have him drop his hand. Obviously, like so. Like that. And that knee looks a bit wonky. So I'm going to go ahead and keyframe that. That looks better. So looking at this, we got take a drag, looks around. Cool. And then I want him to look around. So I'm going to keyframe everything here. Oh, minus this one. I don't want to keyframe that one. I just want to keep that going. Either I have him bend backwards and look around, or bend forwards. I might have him bend forwards in sort of like it's more of an anxious sort of feel. So so I'm gonna have him bend forward. I'll start with him just as is there, minus that control, obviously. Yeah, and have him sort of bend forward, shift his weight a little bit, and look. That way. Drops his hand like that. And yeah, I'm going to do the same action, but from the wide and not change the action. So you get a close up first, and then you get a feel. Have I ever got job offers from what I do on YouTube, and what were they for? Trying to think. Yes, I have, but I can't remember which jobs they were. I know I've been offered stuff. I think not directly through YouTube. I think a lot of the jobs that I've done have been justified for me being hired through YouTube. But yeah, mostly advertising, and I recently did some documentary work. Yeah. What are some useful obscure Blender add-ons do you think are useful? Animate. I'm not sure if that's obscure at this point, but Animate is a really good one. Quad Remesh is a good one. I would say the Mixer Mode add-on is actually pretty obscure. Not many people know about it, which is odd. That one's a lifesaver for quick jobs. And Blender AE. This is the one I've been using every day for the last 3 months. Every day I've been using this one, where you can take the camera data from Blender and object data from Blender, like location, rotation, that sort of thing, and export it to After Effects for compositing. Absolute lifesaver. That's one of my favorite add-ons. And Mesh Online for white painting. The voxel heat diffuse makes white painting so much better when you have stuff like clothing. No question. Yeah. again, if you guys want to see me do a video on just like the add-ons that I use day to day, not some bullshit one where it's like, oh yeah, I can recommend them, but I never use them. Let me know. When you got job offices, were you allowed to use Blender, or did you have to use whatever software they were on? I have not used Maya for a job since 2016. I've used Blender almost exclusively. All right. Ooh, let's go back to that. Let's keep that leg that way. That's better. All right, so going into that, we've got this going on. UV squares add-on, that is good. I think that's also default now as well. But I wouldn't say that's obscure. If it's not included inside of Blender, if it's included in Blender already, I wouldn't consider it really an add-on, if that makes sense. It's sort of like an included feature. Yes, that is good. That is also the global copy position add-on that is available inside of Blender. Yep, that's what I use the copy properties. All right, so there's a character looking around. Looks around, and what I'm going to do here, with that all set up, is him repeat this whole process but from the wide angle, but faster in this case. So now he's going to do the same thing. So I'm going to have him come down, take another drag. This time it's going to be a lot faster. Takes a drag, comes back down. Looks at his watch. Yeah, animation layers. I haven't actually. I haven't seen that one actually. Can you put the link? That could be a lifesaver. Okay, there he goes. Takes a drag. And he's gonna look at his watch again. So making sure that I've keyframed before I move on. There we go. Keyframe everything again, not including the foot. I'm gonna change his position a little bit. Bring his watch back up. Like so. Whoops, undo. So these are the reason I'm doing this methodology is because I learned a lot of lessons from doing the first Black Curtain, where I focused so much on doing all the character stuff that I got caught up in it, and I didn't focus enough onto the I focused plenty enough on animation, but I should have been focusing on it earlier on to get the story and the framing and the animation as good as I could. If I was going for maximum efficiency when making a film for projects, what are some that you would take? Yes, Rigify is a free add-on. It's also included in Blender. So maximum efficiency. First, have a script. All right, script is absolutely essential. Okay, have written down, even if it's not a real script or a screenplay, a blow-by-blow account of what you want to have in the story. The great thing about a proper screenwriting software and doing it in the proper format is that you get an estimate of the length of the film. And tell you right now, the the screenplay that I wrote for the first episode is exactly the same length in terms of timing that I had for the estimate here. So one page usually equals 1 minute. And with this software, it gives you an estimate. So this will be around 4 minutes long, if I'm lucky. Okay. The second thing is to just start planning as early as possible, whether it's through drawn storyboards or through some sort of concept development in terms of animation. to start just blocking out. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm blocking out the animation to get an idea of what I need for the shot. All right. Doing this early on is just really useful because one, you can figure out whether or not you need characters that you thought you didn't need, or you did need, or you can remove them or whatever. You can save some effort. Who else? Ugly. I'm gonna just like what I do. Oh, I fucked that up. Okay, that makes sense. One. And then in terms of character design, make sure you have concepts or get someone to build some concepts for you or whatever. Um, and then in the parts that you don't know how to do, take some time to learn some things or try and work within the framework of your knowledge when making a film. And then if you have some gaps in your knowledge, like some tiny gaps, then you can sort of find tutorials to help you along the way. But you don't want to get caught up in like saying, I want to do something that's ultra realistic if you don't know how to do ultra realism yet. You want to take a small element of what that may be. Maybe it's an environment design or something like that you want to focus on that to be ultra realistic and then sort of work with that in mind. So you don't want to do everything at once. All right. So there we go. Okay, cool. Takes a drag. Looks at his watch. 360. And then back to this frame here. Back to this frame here. Cool. Almost there. Is UE5 similar free add-ons? No, not at all. Nah. UE5 is not a 3D software. It's a 3D game engine. Okay? It's a game engine first and a filmmaking software second. No matter how much Unreal wants to try and spruik it as being as such, it still has to work within the same limitations as a game engine software. All right? So that means it doesn't really come, it is kind of developing tools for rigging, but it's just not for that. You need to build everything inside of 3D software and then export out to Unreal, usually. All right, cool. So there's our watch comes up moment, hold. And I don't want that, I want that pose. So copy that pose and then paste it in there. One, drag, look again. Yeah, that's cool. That looks nice and nervous. What scriptwriter am I using? It's called Sonarist. Kit Sonarist, KIT Sonarist. Look it up on Google. Awesome software. Available on Linux. It could be. It is a challenge if you want to make it a challenge. All right, cool. And I'm gonna have him sort of right here, and then maybe he sees something, and then he kind of looks up. There we go. That's cool. Yeah, awesome. So let's have a look. That's my sequence. Exactly right. Unless you got the built-in skeleton, you need to build your own rig from scratch. Exactly right. Okay, so the reason why that loop is not working anymore, I just got to turn off those, delete those keyframes, and that will work. There we go. Sweet. That's cool. All right. There we go. We're on our way. So that makes me feel a lot more confident having this blocking done in about 2 hours. So now what I can do is move on to the next shot without having to really worry about it. So now, one last thing I might do is just do a close up of the eyes. And I want, this actually going to be a cool idea, is that in his goggles, he's going to see a reflection of something coming toward him. That's cool. I'm going to do that. So, I'm going to add one last camera. One last camera. Camera to view. I'm going to go to mark camera, bind camera to marker, camera to view. Yep. And nice and close. I'll bring up the focal length to maybe 80 to flatten out his face a little bit. And it's going to be pretty close. Like that. Turn on the thing, and now we got ourselves a nice little sequence. All right, cool. So there we go, breaking it down. Cool. Pretty happy with that. Other thing, by the way, is once you've done that, you can actually look at the frame rate. And it's running all right. This is the other reason why I'm doing like this, the animatic like this, is that I'm getting a real-time feedback on the speed of the shots. So there's no lag. That's the other thing, because no modifiers, no physics, no nothing to help slow it down. It's just working at real time. So I don't have to worry about doing any stupid play blasts or pre-renders or anything like that. Yep, there we go. You can hear that. Baby just woke up, but my partner has come home, so she should be okay. So yeah, we've got about 20 minutes to go here. And notice how I'm not even bothering with these fix-ups here. I don't care about fixing it because it's not in frame. And I'm not going to even use these animation rigs anyway, so why bother? Although I probably could with this animation. I don't think I would need a too fancy rig. All right, so let's have a look. Yep, that's looking cool. Frame. Take a drag. Yep, that's looking cool. Looks around. And why didn't that save? Why did that not save? Oh, did I? Oh, I moved it in by accident. My bad. All right, cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and just slightly alter this a little bit. Maybe have it tilted up just a tad. I might even just offset it a little bit on the framing. Why not? Yeah, cool. And what I can do just to give it a little bit of interest is, again, yeah, exactly right. No need to focus too much, but it does help you to figure out your hookups as well. So a hookup is when you go from shot to shot, and you want to make sure that things are sort of connecting nicely as well. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, cool. I like that. I'm gonna leave it just a little bit of finesse, just a little bit. That's cool. All right, so we're done with that shot. The last thing I just want to do is just give it, just scale. Make sure this is scaled properly before I move on. I'm going to turn off the auto keyframing because I just want to keep everything in the right scale. So yeah, this is his sort of cabin, I guess you can say. So that frames him nicely there. Okay. And the ship is going to land here somewhere. All right. Cool. Do I want to change that a little bit? No, I like it like that, actually. Yeah, that's cool. Is that mesh just placeholder? Yes, it's very much just placeholder. So eventually, over the next couple of weeks, you'll probably see me start to model out characters, do some sketches. I might even do a sketch tomorrow morning for, actually I already got a sketch for this character. So maybe I can start doing some stuff with that tomorrow. We'll see. But this gives us a nice starting point in setup. Okay. I really like his pose there. I think that's going to be a good start. All right. I'm going to have a little cooler there with some drinks. No, not drinks, because he can't drink through there. Maybe he might be able to. We'll see. Because he's going to be wearing a gas mask. All right. Also note that even in this shot, the ground isn't even showing. I could technically get away with not even having the ground in there, but just for the sake of like future scenes, I will be including that in the scene, so I'm going to keep it there. All right, cool. That's all set. Now I'm going to go back to my first scene and sort of, because I've established the scene around the area first, I'm going to go ahead and use the first scene to have the ship fly in and land. So that's what I'm going to do now. So now that I got this up and running, I'm going to go to my original scene. And I might actually rename these actually before I move on. So shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. I'm not going to put I'm not going to put fancy pants sub shots because they're all inside of the scene already. That's another mistake I made with the first film, is that I over organized. I guess you can say I put too much detail. So I'm just going to go to desktop. Let's go to my documents, black curtain. So I like to fix these as soon as I can. So if I start seeing like things that I'm doing, I want to make sure that I'm keeping everything consistent. All right. By the way, there's another little nice feature of the Mac, is just I can rename things easily. But I'll talk about that later. That's not really important. Let's go ahead and remove that. Scene 02, scene 03. So always making sure that you stay consistent with your naming conventions is really important. All right, so scene 01. I'm going to go ahead and save as, and it'll be scene 03. And I'm going to label that as ship landing. Ship landing. Cool. All right, so this actually will have 2 or 3 shot. Oh, no, this will be, yeah, I'm going to go ship landing wide because the scale is different. And then I'll jump back into scene 2, copy that scene, and then have the ship land properly there. So ship landing wide blend. That's a wide angle. So I might go WA as an abbreviation. There we go. All right, cool. So now what I want to have is another brick. I'm gonna make another brick representing the ship with one addition. So I'm gonna go ahead and over here. Oh, actually, I'll just do it inside of the scene itself. Almost might actually apply the scale for whatever I have selected. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add a brand new mesh. Set the scale to 0, or not 0, the 3D cursor to 0, 0, 0. Add a new cube and scale that into the scene. Let's see. Bring that up a little bit. Widen that out a little bit. That's my ship. And I'm just going to get a general idea of the shape of the ship to represent what I'm doing. So that's my ship. And I might just do a quick little split in there. Scale Y, X. And scale that up a little bit. Now let's do another split here. And I'm just going to go ahead and extrude along normals. There's my little shippy ship. And I just want to get one little thing here, which is going to be a door opening. So I'm just going to go I to inset for now. And again, these are still placeholder meshes, so it's not meant to be anything fancy. I'm going to duplicate that, P to separate, bring that forward just a tad. Give it a little thickness. Let's go with solidify. Actually, I should have just deleted the whole. So actually, inside of there, let's delete that. Because that's going to be the entrance to the ship. And while I'm at it, let's just go ahead. I know I've missed a hole there, but it will do. There we go. That's better. Cool. All right. So we got that going on. Over here, I just want to get a pivot point there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just put the pivot point there. Set origin to 3D cursor. Place it over there. And now we have our ship ready. I'm just going to grab that piece there, parent that. And now we have a ship ready to roll. So before I move on to animating it, I just want to make sure that the scale is about right. And I think that looks about what I want. I want the ship to still feel a bit chunky. Like that. That stinks. Sorry about your Wacom tablet. And there we go. So that's kind of where I want the ship to end. So I actually might scale it down just a tad, like that. There we go. That's where I want the ship to end. And this will set the scene for my entire rest of my animation. So the rest of the animation takes place in just this one environment, which makes it much easier to plan for. That's the idea of this particular animation, is that I want to simplify everything in that regard. All right, so there we go. So that can be my end shot. I may as well keyframe that. I might scale that first, apply the scale. Not the rotation though. I've just applied the scale. Let's just put location and rotation as a keyframe. And over here, G, I'm going to auto keyframe this now to have this thing fly through the like above the camera and then come to land. So before I do that, let's just put that into global mode. Like that. All right, sweet. So either let's go like that. Local mode. Put that over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring our little ship really low and really close to the camera. I really want to have it like sort of skirt the surface. Like this. So you want to really bring it down. So see how like you really want to fake it, don't you? And then sort of lands. So this may look familiar if you saw my video from earlier in the year. Oops, let's go with local. All right. Okay, I see what the problem is. Why? There we go. And then starts a turn. Turns again. And that looks really bad, but it does the job. And that looks really slow. It's funny how that comes across, right? So what I want to do is really speed that up until around here. Don't you think you got too close to the ground? It's for the shot. Yes, basically. Yeah, I'm just working for the shot. Doesn't really matter what you do. So if I want to get this path looking a little bit cleaner, I'm just going to go to my viewport display. Sorry, go to motion paths and turn on motion paths, calculate. And that'll give you an idea of what that motion path looks like. And I can kind of get that looking a little bit nicer. And even in there. So even for like an animatic, it's sometimes nice to make sure that this looks pretty nice. And it gives you an idea of where you want to take it. There we go. And then just like that. Oops. Kind of comes in. And settles. Bonk. 10 months. That's pretty shit for a Wacom tablet. What version did you have? There we go. And even then, I want to keep that. I want to get that even lower, I reckon. There we go. That looks better. The one medium. Ah, yeah. The cheaper ones. Yeah, is that no, that's not the screen one, is it? Yeah. Yeah, the cheaper ones have gotten worse in quality for sure. You're better off buying, I know I shouldn't say this, I would recommend rather, you can buy a better quality tablet for a similar price from the like XP Pen or from Huion at this point. I know it's weird. They're meant to be the cheaper, crappier tablets, but you can get like the inverted commas. Well, let me just do that with this camera so I can do it. Inverted commas. There you go. You can buy the professional versions of the tablets, like these ones here. Like this one here. Like, I think they have a better version now. You can get a better build quality with metal on the sides. Got like actual controls here. You can get something like this for a similar price to the cheapest Wacom nowadays from those sort of shops, and they always have discounts as well, which is cool. So you should check out those alternative brands. if you want to get a better quality product for similar price, if your budget is sort of smaller. All right. The cheap Wacoms are still overpriced for what they are. They're ridiculously shit at this point. And I've got one too. So where are we? So this smaller tablet from Wacom, this one here, was, I'm guessing that's the similar one. This is Intuos. So probably even a little bit more expensive than the one. This was like, weirdly enough, I think it was close to $200 in Australia. Wacom in Australia is a fucking ripoff to begin with. But the Wacom here costs quite a bit of money. But the surface is cheaper. It's plastic. The buttons are a bit crummier, and the pen is a bit smaller. As you can see, there we go. The pen is smaller and lighter, for better or worse. And there's no eraser, so you can actually get one nowadays with the alternative brands for a similar price, a larger tablet, for with better outcomes, and they should last a bit better as well. But yeah, that's my recommendation. If you want, I'd say just check out the reviews first. Of course, I'm not going to say which one's to buy or anything like that. I can't do that. I'd feel guilty if you ended up buying one and then it didn't work out. Yes, Linux, that's the other problem, is that they probably won't work with Linux very well. All right, so we got that shot down, ready to roll. And I think for something that took about 2 hours, we got how many shots sort of blocked out? Quite a few. So if I go ahead now and just turn off this, all right, I'm going to turn that off. All right, there we go. And I might just extend this shot just a bit more to 120. Oh, look at the reviews, of course, before you jump the ship to anything. But yeah, always look at the reviews first. Unfortunately, with Huion and XP Pen and all that sort of stuff, is that it's very hard to find retailers. Well, it is basically impossible to find retailers that allows you to test them, which is a shame. Yeah, that's the only advantage of the Wacoms, is that you can probably find one in store to try out. So yeah, we got our shots here. So what I'm going to do is go to my render settings before we wrap up. Got 3 minutes or so to go. Go to my exports. I'm going to go to my animatic, and inside my animatic, I'm going to go to renders. So I should make a Blender folder for all these shots, by the way. So animatic render. Let's go to animatic. Yeah, just put thing there, and let's go with play blasts. All right. And I want to make sure the name of the shot is the same. So it's going to be scene 03 dash ship landing WA. All right. That's going to be my setup. I'm going to save that. Now, I can do it as a PNG sequence or not, but I'm going to go with the MP4 or a mob file, sorry. So let's just go color management, encoding, set that to QuickTime, H.264, let's make that, yeah, MP4 is fine. Yeah. All right. And the quality can be medium. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to the view here, viewport render animation. Now, I don't know if this is fixed, but there was a bug with Blender that there'd be a RAM loop, a RAM thing, where it would as it play blasts, it stores everything in the RAM and then kind of crashes. So let's hope it works all right. Viewport render animation. So there we go. There it goes. Lands. Boom. And there's my shot. Cool. Save that. I'm going to go to my other shot, establishing shot. I need to turn off all the fancy pants stuff here. Go to view, viewport, render, animate. Oh wait, got to set that up. Again, output is going to be MP4 or mob file rather, encoding, QuickTime, H.264, medium quality. Yep. And the name will be as is. It will be scene 02 or scene 01. Establishing shot. Now I have an idea that I might add some more to this establishing shot, but we'll see. Like close-ups of plants and stuff, just to give an idea of like the desert landscape that I have in mind. So this may change. This is the nice thing about all this sort of stuff is that, yeah, it's much easier to sort of adapt. So I'm gonna go ahead and push accept, save, and then let's go ahead and play blast. All right. Cool. That's done. And then we got our last shot, which is going to be our sitting on crate waiting. Oh yeah, I forgot. I renamed that. So we've got this shot now, which is 400 frames. So what I'm going to do is combine them in either Premiere or actually I might do it inside of Final, not Final Cut. I'm going to do it inside of DaVinci Resolve, and then we'll wrap up the stream. All right. So we're going to go with same thing. Output is going to be in the animatic play blast, and it will be scene 02. And it will be sitting on crate waiting. All right, cool. So there we have it. Accept. Save that. Again, FFmpeg, color management. No, don't worry about that. Encoding, QuickTime, and we're good. Eventually, I have to turn on the audio as well. Okay, so now we've got that going on. We can go to this viewport, render, and let it do its thing. So yeah, as you can see, the Mac handles it fine for this sort of stuff. It's not a problem. So the reason why it doesn't like literally like render in real time is because like it still has to write the frames and encode the stuff. So it's always going to be a little bit longer when you do it. Like so. So there we go. We've got that done. So it's going to go to my DaVinci Resolve. And I'm just going to start putting them together. All right, so we got this one here. Let's make a brand new project. I'm going to call this, yeah, Black Curtain episode 2. And I'll call it, yeah, Stop Shred. Great. So I'm just going to bring in my media now. Animatic play blasts. There they are. And drop them in there. And what I'm going to do is just dump them in the shot. Now my timeline will probably be a different resolution, but that's all right. Go on, in you go. One. There's my timeline. 2, and 3. So now I can actually view the whole thing as is. So I'm just going to close one video. There we go. And by the way, DaVinci Resolve is free if you want to get the free version. There are limitations. You can't do like 4K video or something like that, but you know. Now I can see how it all looks together, and I I want those little bars, as weird as it sounds, to make it feel cinematic. There we go. There we go. That looks cool. Yeah, sweet. And that is already 24 seconds. That's crazy. Um, yeah, cool. Really like that. What do you guys think? Do you think it looks cool so far? Yeah, just time. The time taking to animate, to draw frames takes longer than to just use 3D models and rigs. Doesn't work with AMD GPU. That's a pain. Then I guess you're stuck with Premiere. Cool. So there we go. I think we're on the right track. I think maybe within a few weeks we may have a full animatic ready to roll. The plan, if I can do it, is to have it ready by Christmas. We will see. that will be a challenge. But like I want to try and do it this time around. But you can see it's coming up good. I really like it. I really like the blocking. So like doing this way is much faster than worrying about all the character stuff and all that sort of thing. So yeah. That will be it for today. Tomorrow, not sure what I'll be doing. Either continuing on with this or making character stuff, or I might be working on a Patreon challenge, where I kind of try to convert some prompts to 3D without using AI. So I'll do it myself, and then we'll compare it with AI. Yeah, that's another challenge. Yeah, Christmas, New Year, that sort of thing. All right, cool. That's it for today. Thank you for joining. It's been awesome. It's been really fun getting this done as well. I feel really good and pumped about getting this far already. So appreciate the super chats as well. I appreciate the questions along the way. It's been really fun. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning.